The South City Triceratops are now back-to-back national champions. In the last episode, we defeated Georgia 32-31. If you missed that game, I suggest you at least go watch the very end of it. It was a very, very fun contest. But today, we are doing our final off-season of the series. And you may be a little curious as to why I'm already saying this will be the final off-season, which means Season 6 will be the final season of this Walk-On Dynasty. And it is because we've already won back-to-back national championships. We're only going to get better. This is actually a really solid recruiting class from what we have done so far in this series. So I really expect us to be a much better team next season. And with already winning back-to-back, next season our goal will be like an undefeated and a three-peat. And that will be a really good way to go out and get ready for the next college football game that is coming out. But with that being said, it is now time to get into the season recap and the stats for this year. Quarterback Keith Hayes, a true freshman that came in and just lit the nation on fire. Almost 3,800 passing yards, 41 touchdowns. He did throw 12 interceptions. I was doing really good about that until the back half of the year, and then I started getting a little bit more aggressive. And on top of that, he also ran for 1,600 yards and 23 more touchdowns, easily taking home the Heisman Trophy. Now, we will be losing running back Jack Overrocker. He's been on the team for several years. He was one of our first guys we ever recruited. He finished this year with almost 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns, not near as good as last year, but I really kind of counted on our quarterback running the ball a lot more than I did with Curtis Burton. Tyler Anderson also comes away with 6 touchdowns on the season. I believe that was also the Jet Award for the Returner of the Year, but we'll check that in a minute. Josh Coleman also ran in for a touchdown, and Adam Watkins even ran in for a touchdown. Now, we had another true freshman kind of blow up on this team, and that was receiver Matt Stevens with 63 catches, 1,300 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Adam Watkins in his final season here caught 9 touchdowns. Donald Johnson as a sophomore caught 11 touchdowns. Josh Bain caught 4, Jack Overrocker caught 5, Anderson caught 1, and Avery caught 1. I don't know why I keep wanting to call this guy Doug Johnson. I may have even done it in the national championship video. If I didn't catch it in editing, I apologize. But yeah, he finished with a really solid year. If you watched a good chunk of the season, you know it's not really a shock at all that Kellen Rice leads our team in tackles. I am really sad that we are losing him after this season though. The most tackles for loss goes to true freshman Maurice West, and sacks is a tie between Jason Newby and Maurice West. Jalen Shelley came away with 6, getting 2 in the national championship. Aaron Wright got 5, Michael Starks got 5, and then Thomas got 2, Isaiah Sims got 2, Kellen Rice came away with 2, and then the following players got 1. Jeremy Greer, Chris Scott, Sean Smith, and that's going to be it. And this season, I probably attempted the most field goals I had done the entire series for a single season. With Derek Rivero, I kicked 8 field goals, only missed 1 of them. We are getting a new kicker though, so we probably won't have Rivero very long. He really didn't have that great of a range. You can see his longest field goal is 41 yards. The new kid I'm bringing in is really good, but we will get more into the draft class later in the video. Our quarterback Keith Hayes will lead the nation in quarterback rating. The most attempts is going to go to Matt Richard at Florida State. The most yards is CJ Montgomery at Tennessee. Our guy gets second. Most touchdowns does go to Keith Hayes. Most interceptions though, why is that listed as touchbacks at the top of the screen? Whatever. Apparently Brandon Pitts threw 23 of them. I don't know why that's abbreviated as TB at the top. That's a little weird. What about completion percentage? It looks like Ryan Gronkowski for Texas Tech and then Kelly King for James Madison both completed 70% of their passes. The most rushing attempts this season actually went to Air Force, and that is Andrew Davis, who attempted 321 carries. The most yards is going to go to Dante Harper at Middle Tennessee, and then Andrew Davis also got 1,700 yards. But you can see number 3 and 4 are both our guys, and the most touchdowns goes to Trey Bell at Georgia. Second place is Keith Hayes with 23. But then by far, leading the nation in fumbles is Keith Hayes. That is not a stat I really am excited to lead the country in, but he did fumble quite a bit. The most receptions goes to Melvin Ruffin at Washington State, who caught 96 passes. The most yards goes to Fred Smith at Tennessee. Matt Stevens came in 4th. Most touchdowns goes to Wayne Bravo Brown at Texas, who caught 19 touchdowns this year. Kellen Rice ends up leading the entire country in tackles this season with 123. Tackles for loss goes to Antoine Nelson. And sacks goes to John Burns at Ole Miss. The most interceptions goes to DeAndre Hunter with 7, along with Robert Walker and Michael Sapp, who also all came away with 7. Checking out all of the award winners now, the Maxwell Award goes to Keith Hayes, the Walter Camp Award goes to Keith Hayes, the Bednarik Award goes to Kellen Rice, Ed Edwards got 3rd on that, The Nagurski Award goes to Ohio State. The O'Brien Award goes to Oregon. Keith Hayes came in second for that. The Walker Award goes to Justin Harris, a running back at Illinois. The Bolitnikov goes to Fred Smith at Tennessee. The Mackey goes to Minnesota. The Outland goes to Georgia. The Remington goes to Georgia. The Lombardi goes to Utah. Maurice West got second place there. The Butkus Award does go to Kellen Rice. The Thorpe Award goes to Boise State, and it looks like Ed Edwards finished fourth on that. The Groza Award goes to Duke. The Guy Award goes to Alabama, and the Jet Award does go to our backup running back in Tyler Anderson. I am a little shocked that our quarterback doesn't make first team All-American, considering the fact he won the Heisman. Maurice West and Kellen Rice both make it, along with Ed Edwards. What about All-American second team? Really? Our quarterback Keith Hayes doesn't make either one of these lists. I imagine he will be an All-American freshman. We do have Tyler Anderson, and the freshman does go to Keith Hayes and Matt Stevens. Did anyone else on our team get this? Maurice West is also going to be here, and it looks like Jeremy Greer also made it. Now for the All-Independent, which I still don't know if that's even a real thing, but Keith Hayes, Matt Stevens, and Donald Johnson all make that one. Jason Newby, Maurice West, and Jalen Shelley make it. Kellen Rice is also here, along with Andy McMillan, Brian Edwards, and Ed Edwards, and Jeremy Greer, and Tyler Anderson. Now for the second team, we get Jack Overrocker, Adam Watkins, one of our linemen, actually two of our linemen are up here. I think that might be a first. Michael Starks made it at outside linebacker, Rich Hall and Sean Smith both make it at corner, and then our kicker actually makes it, even though he's probably going to end up getting cut. But now it is time to jump into the final offseason for your South City Triceratops Walk-On Dynasty. Now the first thing I notice here is we have 27 upgrade points for our offensive coordinator, which means we definitely at least got a new one of those. Good news is we don't get a new defensive coordinator. Matt Barnes has apparently signed a 4-year extension, but we do have a brand new offensive coordinator. And I wish I was making this up. Before I unveil this, just know I have no control over this. Our new offensive coordinator next season for the South City Triceratops in their final season is Lincoln Riley. I don't know what happened at USC, but obviously it was not good, as Lincoln Riley is now headed to South City. Our former offensive coordinator, Eric Bright, who I believe we only had for a single season, has now taken the head coaching job at Houston, where he takes over a 1-10 team. Apparently in this universe, Lincoln left USC a bit ago because he was the head coach at Vanderbilt when he got fired. I don't know what in the world Lincoln Riley's been up to, but I guess we're happy to have him. Moving on from that whole situation now, we get to jump into players leaving, and we are losing several key players from last season. The first one is running back Jack Overrocker. Now, he was really good for us once we got a decent offensive line. His first couple years, I think his freshman year, he actually got injured. His second year, we really didn't have an offensive line. He still got 400 yards though, but by far his best year was his junior season, where I would say he was probably the focal point of our offense on why we won a national championship. The next guy up is Kellen Rice, and I am really sad to see him go. He has been a very key part of our defense the entire time he has been a member of this team. He will leave with 286 tackles, a career total of 10 sacks, and he even came away with 4 interceptions. Then we have another key point of our team from last season in Michael Starks. This guy was actually a transfer from Alabama after our first season, and I found a way to make him play immediately, and he has been a massive impact on this team since then. He leaves with a career total of 19 sacks. The next player is wide receiver Adam Watkins. This guy was a JUCO transfer. He stepped into the offense and immediately made a massive impact. He will be leaving with 1,700 yards and 19 total touchdowns. Now, it sucks when you lose all 3 starting linebackers in one offseason, but that's exactly what we're doing this year, because Isaiah Sims, who I believe was the first guy I ever got to commit to South City, is also leaving after his senior season, and he has been a pretty solid player for us his entire time as well. Now, looking over everyone else that is leaving, we're losing Brian Edwards at corner, running back Tyler Anderson, defensive tackle Jalen Shelley, who was another guy I believe that came in after my first season. He's going to leave with 17 total sacks in his career. We're losing our left guard. We are losing Ed Edwards. We're also losing Chris Scott, Scott Flanagan, Brett Johnson, Paul Patterson. Yeah, these guys are going to be guys that you never really saw touch the field, or at least not in a long time. Now, we will take a look at the draft results, but I highly doubt anyone is here, and yeah, we get absolutely nobody there. But what about transfer requests? Do we get anyone wanting to come to South City? A 68 overall corner in James Jones, a true freshman. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take you. Now, as we get into recruiting, we're coming in with 180 points. We also have a free 5-star because we won the national championship. That was a weird rule I added. I really didn't think I would get to use it too much, But we do actually have a 5-star on this list. If you've seen every episode, you guys know that because I already showed him. But let's go over the entire recruiting class so far. Let's start with the 5-star running back I was just talking about. Joe Nelson, the number 2 running back in his class out of San Antonio, Texas, will come in as a 75 overall with 92 speed, 88 acceleration, 82 elusiveness. I am really happy to get this guy in. He might end up being our starting running back just right out the gate. The next guy up is a 2-star prospect in DJ Handy out of Fayetteville, Tennessee. He will come in as a 70 overall, a +9 gem prospect. Losing Jalen Shelley and getting this guy, I think is going to be, not losing much, to be completely honest. Now, there are also some lower rated freshmen on this team that will be coming in, like outside linebacker Sam Presley, who is a 3-star recruit. He will come in as a 65 overall. Then we also have defensive tackle Mark Clark, a 3-star out of Louisiana. He will come in as a 68 overall. Then we have a 4-star safety in Brett Lawson, the number 8 safety in his class, coming in with 87 speed, 87 acceleration, 67 tackle, 81 zone coverage, which is what I was really excited to see. But now we have a handful of offensive linemen that I want to go over, probably all at once. Starting with center Ivan Spence, he will come in as a 69 overall center. Then we have guard Marcus Johnson, who is a 3-star recruit, coming in as a 70 overall. And then we have another guard in Barrett Johnson, who is the number 19 guard in the class, a 3-star prospect who is a 75 overall. I always end up scouting a handful of corners. I really don't know how useful some of these guys are going to be, but Lionel Battle out of Dallas, Texas, a 3-star corner, will come in as a 67 overall with 80 zone coverage off the start is amazing. There are a couple more linemen to go over here. I tried to scout linemen pretty hard because I felt like we did not have great depth at our offensive line. But starting here, we have Todd Hawkins, a 3-star guard out of California. He will come in as a 69 overall. And then we have tackle Brian Handy out of Louisiana, who will come in as a 68 overall. The next player is defensive back Brian Gibson, and really the reason he was even on my board is because he actually had a ton of interest in coming to South City. He's only a 64 overall, so I doubt we're really going to see him. We end up getting one more outside linebacker in TJ Sparks out of Garden Grove, California. He will come in as a 68 overall. But now we can get into the guys that I am really excited to add outside of our new 5-star running back. We have middle linebacker Michael Hill out of Mount Pleasant, Texas. The number 10 middle linebacker in his class will come in as a 76 overall and probably immediately be our starting middle linebacker. The next guy up is a JUCO transfer in George Moore, a tight end out of Bloomington, Illinois. I really wanted to bring him in because Seth Avery was okay, not great. I don't really use the tight end that much anyway, but having a guy like this on our team, I feel like might really help. And then I talked about earlier getting a brand new kicker. We got Ryan Roden out of Easton, Pennsylvania, the number 2 kicker in his class, an 85 overall with 89 kick power and 84 kick accuracy. And the final player as of right now in this class, wide receiver Joel Taylor, a JUCO transfer out of Gladeview, Florida. He will come in as an 80 overall with 94 speed and 93 acceleration. We lost Adam Watkins, and I think we immediately have his replacement. And then we only have 2 guys left here. Athlete Jeff Kane out of Hereford, Texas, a 5-star athlete that's only a 72 overall. It looks like he could be a quarterback, receiver, or running back, so we'll figure out exactly what to do with him if we land him. And then a new wide receiver in Orlando Holt, another JUCO transfer, but once again, 94 speed, 93 acceleration, just like Joel Taylor. If we can land both of these guys, I think our offense will become even more explosive. And good news, we end up landing both Orlando Holt and Jeff Kane, and I am fine putting both at receiver because if you remember last year, we only had 4 receivers on the roster. Adam Watkins left, so we add a few here, and hopefully we actually have some depth there now. But I am really curious to see where we land in the top classes. We have never been anywhere near the top, and we are the number 8 class in the country, only behind Georgia Tech, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, Ohio State, Tennessee, and Georgia. Georgia landed 5 5-star recruits. That is insane. Now that I'm at the position changes screen, the only athlete we have is Jeff Kane. We are going to move him over to receiver, and I really actually like the way our receiver room looks right now. And actually looking around here, I don't think we have to cut Derek Rivera. We can move him over to punter and then just use Ryan Roden as both, but I don't think I actually have to get rid of him, but that will stop a walk-on from joining our team, I believe. Now we get to move on to my favorite part of the offseason. That would be the training results. Let's see how much better or worse everyone got on this team. Quarterback Heath Hayes is now an 86 overall. He gets +1 to speed, 5 to his awareness. What about throw power and throw accuracy? Anything there? 1 to throw power, 2 to throw accuracy, so that's not bad. But winning the Heisman Trophy apparently moves him up to an 86 overall. Well, it is cool that Donald Johnson got +6 to his overall, but Matt Stevens actually lost one, losing 4 to his acceleration. I don't know what the, formula is to figure this stuff out, but it does suck that he didn't really get anything better after the season he had. With the guys we have coming in, he may slide down the depth chart a little bit, but Donald Johnson up to an 88 overall. What in the world happened to him? He gets +4 to catching, so that's now a 99, 10 to spectacular catching, 2 to catching traffic, 1 to route running, 7 to jumping. All right, Donald Johnson may find his way as like our #1 receiver this season. Well, I'm glad I brought in a brand new tight end because Seth Avery is down to a 59 overall now. He loses 2 overall points for whatever reason. Now, moving on to the offensive line, our left tackle Matt Miller is now a 78, our left guard is now a 69, center is a 67, right guard is a 77, and we have no right tackles returning from last season. We do have a right tackle on the roster, but it is a true freshman. At defensive end, Jason Newby is now an 82, along with Aaron Wright being an 82. Did Maurice West get any better? No, he actually lost one after getting 9 sacks on the season. Well, that is not exactly what I wanted to see, and I really wish I understood more of this formula, I guess. Losing 2 to tackle, 2 to his hit power rating, doesn't lose any of his block shedding, which is good, but I don't know if he'll honestly be the starter next season if both of these guys got even better. Defensive tackle, I am glad I brought in a couple guys because the highest one we have is Paul Thomas, who is now a 63 overall. We return no left outside linebackers. At middle linebacker, we do have Dwayne Battle, who is now a 61, and right outside linebacker, Freddie Roberts goes to a 65. Now, corner may be a bit of an issue. It's never really been a strong point on this defense anyway, but our best one is Andy McMillan, who will be a 79 overall, and then Rich Hall, who will be a 74, and at least early Hawk got +3. He may actually get some playing time this year. Our backup free safety, Brent Miller, goes up to a 50 overall. Really hoping I don't have to start him. And then at strong safety, Jeremy Greer doesn't improve at all. So a lot of the freshmen didn't really get better, but I am glad to see our quarterback at least got better. What about Derek Rivero? He stays a 67. But that is the top part of our team. So we have Donald Johnson going into his junior season. Keith Hayes going into his sophomore year. Obviously going to repeat as a Heisman Trophy winner and maybe a national champion. That'd be cool too. 2 defensive ends. Our backup quarterback who can also play receiver, and then we have Andy McMillan who's a 79. The good news is this season I don't have to cut anybody, but it's because we are under the roster size by 7 players. We actually will get to start this final season ranked inside the top 25 at number 23, but let's take a look at our schedule for this season. We start with a home game against Utah, then we travel to Norman and take on Oklahoma, a home game against Baylor, then we travel to Miami, then a home game against Minnesota, then we travel to Notre Dame, a home game against Houston, a bye week, and then for the first time, I believe, in this series, Georgia will come to South City, then we will travel to Stillwater to take on the Cowboys, then a bye week, then at Tennessee, at USC, and then we close out at home against Florida. I really hope you guys are excited for the final season of this Walk-On Dynasty as we try to end this in a 3-peat.